Myself and Mike went up to Kanchanaburi for a visit, and this is a picture of Mike on a boat on the river. And this is myself and Tong at the bridge on the River Kwai. On that trip to Kanchanaburi, we also sort of travelled further afield. This picture was taken at Erawan waterfalls, you know, which are still a major tourist attraction to this day. Unfortunately, all the pictures from this trip, the colours are off, you know, because I was taking slide film, and when I got it processed, I think they processed it as negative film, you know, so like, I'm going to put the pictures up anyway because they're quite interesting, but you know, like the next few pictures, you know, the colours are going to definitely be a bit skewed. This was the first time I'd gone up to Sangkhlaburi, which is still a really kind of funky town, you know, it's like right in the northernmost part of Kanchanaburi. And I think it was the Mon tribes people had built this wooden bridge. And in those days, it was literally like just made of tree logs tied together. And this is a picture of that bridge. You know, it was very surreal. They built a dam, and in order to build the dam, they'd flooded the valley with the forest in it. And a lot of the trees were still there, poking out of the top of the water. So it was very, you know, it was almost like a kind of a ghost forest type effect, you know. It was a really kind of funky looking town, and they used to use it as a setting for Chinese kung fu movies. We stayed at this guest house called P Guest House, which is still there, and I still stay there sometimes, and it's right on the bank of the river. And they had a boat, and we used that boat to go out on the river. And this is us going to the original kind of Mon bridge, which didn't last very long after that. I think they rebuilt it a year or two later. And while we were up on this trip to Sangkhlaburi, one day we decided to go to Three Pagodas Pass. And Three Pagodas Pass is the place, it's like a natural valley, so it's like kind of like a natural crossing point between Burma and Thailand. And it was where the old Siam-Burmese railway actually left Thailand and entered into Burma. And what they were doing was they'd used the railway, they'd taken up all the sleepers, and they'd used the railway bed as the main road going into Burma. Now we turned up at Three Pagodas Pass, and there was a border crossing point there, and it had a sign up saying, "Welcome to the People's Republic of Myanmar." And it was the first time I'd ever heard the name Myanmar. You know, I just thought it was always called Burma. And it was a few months they'd had a big battle there, and you know, I think over 1,000 people were killed because it was like it was used as a natural smuggling point. You know, it was a valley, and they used to smuggle teak across from Burma because, you know, from 1989 onwards, harvesting wood was banned in Thailand, so people used to make a fortune smuggling it in from Burma, and that was the natural crossing point. So whoever was in charge of it used to make a fortune in kind of like levying taxes and all the contraband that crossed over. Now traditionally it had been in control of Karen tribes people, but the Burmese regular army decided they wanted to take control. So there'd been a big battle just a few months before, and at some point they changed the name to Myanmar. Now, almost as a joke, I'd said at this border point, I said, "Can we go inside?" And he said, "Yeah." So I immediately said, "Can we come out again?" And he said, "Yeah." So we went across the border, and there was this little kind of market, and you know, it had some things that you couldn't buy in Thailand, so we bought a few different things. And then a guy in a pickup truck, he came up to us, he said, "Look, do you want to really go inside Burma or Myanmar, you know?" And we sort of, yeah, he said, "Well, look, you know," like he goes, "I run things backwards and forwards, and now I can take you 18 kilometers inside." So we said, yeah, you know, and I think he wanted like 200 baht or something. So we gave him 200 baht, and then we got in the back of this pickup truck and we started driving into Burma. And it was just really, it was like the Death Railway track, you know, with the tracks taken up, just the bedding of the railway, going through thick jungle, you know, and we were just driving along, and I just remember you know, it seemed to take ages, and I just remember these soldiers jumping out on us with rifles. And it was a bit of a shock because although we were, you know, we were only sort of several kilometres inside Burma, these were Burmese regular army people, and they'd all been drafted from the north of Burma. And they were like totally black skinned. So although we were sort of like still quite near to Thailand, everything looked totally different. And it was quite threatening, you know. They were very sort of serious, and they chatted with the driver, where were you going? And anyway, they let us pass, and we arrived at this army encampment 18 kilometres inside. And it was quite a hostile place, you know, because these soldiers had been drafted and dumped off in the middle of the jungle and basically left to fend for themselves, you know. And they were kind of like, they were pretty desperate. And for a bit of a distraction, you know, we went for a swim in this waterfall. And I remember the soldiers were like, we had, you know, I had Tom with me, and Jeff was with a lady called Duan, and you know, we're all swimming in the waterfall, and I don't think these guys had sort of seen a lady in months, and all the eyes were on her, and it was getting a bit uneasy. And I just remember as we were swimming, one of these Burmese guys come up to me and he said in perfect English, "Excuse me, sir, where are you from?" And I thought, great, you know, we've got an ally. But it turned out that was the only English he spoke, you know. So much for our ally. Anyway, you know, it got a bit serious. We got out of there, and they started to hang around these soldiers, and they started like looking through what we had, and they were waving big knives around, and you know, we ended up getting them, sort of giving them virtually everything we'd bought at the border, you know, things like cigarettes and things like that. And in the end, you know, we were quite glad to get out of there, and eventually we got back on the pickup truck, and we're driving out on these tracks back towards Thailand, and we got stopped at some point because some people were like dragging a pig that they wanted to take to the Thai border. The local people would take their livestock to sell at the Thai border because they'd get 2-3 times as much for it. And this lady wanted us to take the pig in the back of the pickup truck with us now. And you can imagine, you know, how heavy pigs are. You know, they're, you know, this thing weighed a ton, and this pig did not want to get in the back of the truck. And I just remember 5 or 6 of us having to spend about a quarter of an hour getting this pig in the back with us. And the driver had said to us, look, if he didn't sort of like comply and help out, he'd be worried that the next time he drove through there, they'd take pot shots at him. So anyway, like eventually we got this pig to the border, and we got out again. But it was a strange experience. And these pictures were taken on one of our nights out in, I think that was Patpong. As I've said before, in those days they didn't really mind you taking photographs in go-go bars. There was no internet, and just people weren't quite as fearful for their privacy. This was a friend of mine, Keith, he'd paired up with a Chinese lady, a Taiwanese lady, a lady from Taiwan, and they'd come over to visit us. So I took them to Khao Yai National Park, and this is them in one of the old pedal-powered Sam laws in Pak Chong. This is just one of the warning signs that they had as you went into Khao Yai National Park about how to deal with wild elephants if you come across them. This is Jeremy and a lady he met on a trip to Khao Yai National Park. This is Tong and a friend called Pooh on a jungle trek, and it was in the rainy season. We actually had to sort of like wade across this shallow river, and this is just monkeys in the national park. And in Khao Yai National Park, you know, deer are just absolutely everywhere. And this is a photograph of a lizard at Khao Yai. At Khao Yai at this time, they had some wild boar, you know, that were getting quite tame, and they'd come around and hang around the national park headquarters, you know, which was a good opportunity to take a picture. I like this picture of Mike at one of the rivers in the national park. I think that was somewhere on Trail 2, that picture was taken. And this year, I met up with a guy called Bill, an American guy called Bill, who was with a lady called Pooh, and they would turn out to be very, very good friends of mine for years and years, and until he died actually. But we decided that we wanted to do this motorcycle ride following the kind of whole length of the Mekong River within Thailand, you know, following the border. So we just got these, in those days, you know, you didn't get big bikes in Thailand, everything was small, so we just got these hired these small bikes and just took them on the road all along the river, and it was brilliant. We started somewhere sort of south of Ubon Ratchathani, I think like Kamarat, and we went through Ubon Ratchathani, Patem, went up to Mukdahan, Tarpanom, Nakhon Phanom to Nong Khai, Nong Khai up to all the way up to Chiang and Loy, you know, fantastic. And then we doubled back inland, so it was absolutely fantastic motorcycle ride. And this picture I think was taken somewhere near Bungan. This is Bill and Pooh on the motorbikes. I think this was probably taken in Nong Khai province. And this is myself and Tong near Sangkhom in Nong Khai province. Beautiful stretch of road up there. Still to this day, it's a beautiful ride if you get the chance. And this is looking over the Mekong River to Laos from Nakhon Phanom. Fantastic view looking over the river from Nakhon Phanom. Everybody, you know, for some reason, Nong Khai seems to get all the attention when it comes to the border towns, but my favourite is probably Nakhon Phanom, beautiful city. This picture was taken looking across the river near Sangkhom, and near this area, near this part of the river, in the dry season, you can actually walk across to Laos. You can just like hop over the rocks, you know, and actually walk all the way across. It gets so shallow. This was taken on the road from Nong Khai, sort of heading further up north, you know, just these gardens they used to have where they used to cut the hedges ornately. Now this was my first visit to Pheu Prabat Historical Park, you know, which is somewhere that I've been as recently as this year, you know, I've got a video from there. Well, this was my first ever visit there. Now at Pheu Prabat, they've got all these strange rock formations, and certainly in those days they used to get female monks, Mea Chi, who were there, you know, and I just managed to get this nice picture. I took the photo opportunity with his Mea Chi in front of one of the rocks. On this trip, for the first time ever, I visited what's probably my favourite single destination in Thailand, Wat Phu Thok in Bungan province. And I think I'd seen it in the Bangkok Post or something. It might have done a Sunday special, but it just thought, what an incredible place. So we made an effort to all go there, and it was really tough because, you know, we didn't know the name, and there were no paved roads going there in those days. It was all dirt track, and I remember on the way back it was dark and we got lost in all this dust, and I can remember just going through these teeny little shanty towns and asking for directions. Eventually we found a way back, but that place just blew me away, and it still does to this day. I've been there over 30 times. I never get bored of it. And this was a picture from Wat Phu Thok, and you know, I swear to you, if I took a picture from there today, you probably couldn't see the difference. In fact, I doubt if some of the floorboards have been changed. And again, that's me at Wat Phu Thok. And this is myself at Patem on that trip, which is near to Ubon Ratchathani. As we were following the Mekong River, you know, we used to stop off whatever, you know, just little stalls beside the road and grab snacks that would keep us going until we hit the next major city. This is us, I think, at another one of those food stalls that used to sort of be placed all along the road. Bill was teetotal. He used to be an alcoholic, so he gave it up. So he's probably the only good friend I've ever had that I've never had a drink with. Bill was also a vegetarian, and for some reason on this tour we did following the Mekong River, he decided to eat meat again. So I remember we were in Udon Thani, near Nong Pachak, near the big park there where they sell the grilled chicken. He just decided that he'd have some, and that was him eating meat for the first time in 17 years. This is Bill and Pooh beside the road somewhere. Although we might have broke down or something. I think Bill was joking that we're going to try to hitchhike. And this is Bill and Pooh near Sangkhom, Nong Khai province. Now I can't remember where this picture was taken. It might have been Patpong, but it was me trying the dakaden, you know, the fried locusts for the first time. And this is Tong with her family back in the village. And this is Tong in our room at Freddie's guest house on Soi Si Bum Pen. Literally spent years in that place.